Working at the Sarah Holbrook Center has given us the opportunity to form meaningful relationships with the students we came in contact with and the other people we worked with. Throughout our time there, we noticed multiple connections between our experiences at Sarah Holbrook and the focusing issues we've explored in class.
For starters, we all wanted to acknowledge one part of the program that we were incredibly impressed by. We've all learned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the idea that kids need to meet the most foundational levels of need before they can achieve any form of learning or self-actualization. The Sarah Holbrook after-school program offers students with the resources of food and water that they need in order to move past the physiological phase of Maslow's hierarchy. The program also gives students a safe space where they not only socialize and learn, but are also provided with the fundamental needs that are necessary for their development.
I overheard two students having a discussion about race. More students began getting involved in debating the difference between African, African American, and Black. I did not have to step in, only observe, because the students were being respectful, listening to one another, and being thoughtful when they spoke. This was a very productive conversation that helped the students form ideas of their own identities, as some of the students identified as being African, African American, and Black. In the Bronfenbrenner ecological systems theory, the students were first engaging with their individual level of identity with race. Then they engaged with their microsystem, the Sarah Holbrook Center, and each other. This caused connections between the students, the Sarah Holbrook faculty, and their families, an example of the mesosystem at work. Their exosystem will constantly influence them, especially in identity, relating to mass media and seeing things on TV. Thus, the macrosystem of larger societal values regarding race and ethnicity influence the students' ability to develop their identities in connection with the Bronfenbrenner ecological systems theory.
One moment that really sticks in my mind when thinking about examples of relationship and social development present at the Holbrook Center was when one student approached me with a personal problem. Student A, a female student, asked me if I could get her a feminine hygiene product. She had just gotten her period for the first time and was embarrassed and unsure of what she should do, and she decided to talk to a trusted female adult about it. I was able to get her a product in a discreet way and offered her the opportunity to talk about it if she needed to. Carol Gilligan's stages of ethic care that show women's moral development through relationships was especially applicable in this situation. Student A was able to go through a huge moment in her development with the assistance of an adult. Relationships like this student-teacher relationship really showed Gilligan's belief in the importance of relationships in the lives of women, especially as they are developing.
Bandura talked about children's environments being surrounded by behavior models. Similar examples could be found at Sarah Holbrook. These might include parents, grandparents, characters on TV shows, or friends within their peer groups. Models provide examples of behavior for youth to observe and imitate. Some of these behaviors are internalized and others are encoded. In the case of Sarah Holbrook, students internalized the process of a parent applying for and being hired at a new job. Even though this behavior may not seem age-appropriate for certain youth, children also observe the consequences of learned behaviors, such as an improvement or decrease in the quality of life, and find their motivations wrapped up in observations of potential consequences. Children form attachments to behaviors they see as rewarding, and when a child fully incorporates observed behavior, it's referred to as identification.
I remember there was one student who told me a little bit about her relationship with one of her family. She has a little brother that annoys her a lot, and she told me a few stories about him doing things such as waking her up from a nap or getting her in trouble for things that she didn't really do. It was funny because she said she gets annoyed mostly because her brother acts like he is so mature when he isn't, but the student herself was only 12 years old. It kind of showed me the different roles people are kind of forced to take up when they're interacting with their family. The student was 12, but because she was given enough responsibility and she was more mature compared to her brother, it gave her a sense that she probably has more power and is more mature than she is in reality, at least outside of the context of her family. It reminded me that it can be easy to feel like you have things all figured out at a certain age when really you don't know anything. Like the way she sees her brother in that regard is kind of how I see her, and I'm sure that there are people in my life who see me the same way I see that student, and it's kind of funny to think about it like that. I also noticed a lot of what might be considered risky behavior from the kids at the Sarah Holbrook Center, whether it be physically or socially risky. I spent a lot of my time volunteering in the gym at the teen center, where kids play basketball and volleyball and other games. Being a space for kids to move and play, it makes sense for kids to be physical and move around a lot. Some kids would engage in physically risky behavior, such as trying to jump and make crazy dunks or run across the gym really fast and stop on a dime. Other kids would throw balls at their friends or just across the gym randomly, which is obviously also physically risky. Other kids would hang on the rim of the basketball net after dunking the ball, which was physically risky because they could fall and hurt themselves, but it was also what I would call socially risky because staff were repeatedly telling them not to do that. Kids exhibited plenty of behavior that I would consider socially risky, in that it is something that they know they shouldn't be doing, but they choose to do it anyways. One common problem I noticed was kids would hide and hang out in the gym bathrooms, which is something that the staff at the teen center tried to deter, but it wouldn't always work. I think that while it's very important to make sure that students are safe and respectful with each other, it is also incredibly important to provide kids with a space to engage in some of that risky behavior, as learning how to engage with risk in a responsible way is very important for their development.
In the end, we are all incredibly grateful for the opportunity we were given to work with the kids at Sarah Holbrook. Not only did we develop meaningful relationships with the students, we also gained valuable experience working with an age group that many of us will encounter in our upcoming practicum. Our team will never forget our time at Sarah Holbrook and its impact on us as future educators.